Alright, welcome to the White Line Athletics video. We're at Leicester at South Sherbrook Fitness Center in Winnipeg here. We're talking about ways to improve your bench press through stabilizing your shoulders and also stabilizing your whole body. Right, so we were talking before about the band pull aparts, how to stabilize that scapula by retracting and depressing. So we're going to put you on the bench now and just basically show you what that looks like, okay?
All right, so when I bench or when I get my clients to bench press, right, so I'll set them up, they'll just have a seat right at the edge. And so it all comes from, the strength from the ground up. I'm sure we've all heard it from one point or another, whether it's, through, you might have heard it through, a coach saying it like in football or soccer, something like that, or just, someone else who found it popular somewhere else, right? So somewhere on social media maybe. Right, so, and I got it from Rampage Jackson, the UFC fighter. Power comes from the ass, he said. So, and then it was funny at the time, but it made sense that to be able to drive up from the ground. Right, so we'll have the seat right at the edge, right? And so when I lie down, I'll get that bar set. I'll have my eyes pretty much right underneath that bar. And so kind of pay attention to the knurling, so there's the grip right there, grip on the other sides too. So the grip, or the way you place your hands, it's gonna vary kind of depending on what your goal is and also how wide your shoulders are. So for me, I'm not really a huge guy, so I'll kind of pay attention to it as long as I know my hands are even on both sides. So for me, I'll look for about an inch and a half. And that is usually a pretty good position for myself. And say if I have a bunch of weight on the bar, what I'll do before I actually unrack it, right? So I'll actually start to inch my feet backwards, right? So what that does for me, it actually starts to tighten up my glutes and my hips, right? So it kind of closes up that kinetic chain, right? And so like we said earlier, Newton's third law, that equal but opposite reactions. So if I can drive and kind of really press my hips and kind of really dig my heels into the floor as hard as I can, right, I'm able to kind of generate a bit more force from the ground, right? So I press into the ground, equal but opposite reactions, the ground pushes off of me, right? Energy travels through my legs, through my core, through my hips, through my shoulders, and drives that bar up. So get my feet in a better position, right? So that's going to be a key factor, getting my hands set. So when I press off, right, I still kind of set my shoulder blades back, I push off the back, so you see I don't just kind of lift off forward, I'll press backwards, and then I kind of just bring that bar forward, right? So when I'm set, once again, I'll kind of rewind myself, right? Shoulder blades in the back pocket, right? So I have, my hips are tight, my glutes are tight, big air in the stomach, and I'll think of almost twisting that bar too, so I control that down. So my elbows are about 45 degrees away, right? There's that tension there. So when I'm right here, boom. So the motion starts off with my legs and my hips. So using that leg drive. So if I kind of press off hard, and then if you think of energy traveling through my feet, from the ground, through my feet, my knees, my hips, my core, then up to my shoulders, boom, it travels up very quickly, then we're able to lock that out. And very important too to not protract as well, to not kind of follow that bar up, right, where you might see some newer lifters where they're struggling, they kind of press it off and then that's where a lot of instability in that shoulder happens. But a lot of energy starts to occur, and they kind of lose that tightness. Right, so if you can still pull those shoulder blades together, keep them tight. Same thing with the hips. Big air in the stomach. I'll control that down, and boom, big drive out. And when I'm done, let it hit, let it drop, end of the set.
I think, like Lester was saying too, is about getting your glutes fired up. One thing too that I'd add is some external rotation of your hips in that. Lester didn't mention, but that's what he did. His toes were out, and when we're going to go for this external lateral rotation, your glutes are going to fire up. You're going to notice there's probably a small bit of an arch in your back. That's fine because you have this stability through your glutes and lower body. Because sometimes you'll see that there'll be a position where you're going to bench with your feet up like this. This is, not one part of you is touching the ground. Even if you're just getting set up like this, there's nothing stable about this whatsoever. Even though your back is flat, you have no ability to stabilize your core. But from this position here, everything is locked in, like Lester was saying, right? So that's why you have this rotation outward of your hips. You can get those glutes fired up there. So that's one thing that he just did by second nature. But that's one thing that you might want to consider too in getting yourself set up from the ground up. So feet first, rotation, come back, and retract and do all the other steps that you mentioned. But yeah, man, that was awesome. Thanks very much for that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so thanks very much for watching. Please click on that subscribe link below, and yeah, we'll see you soon. Thank you very much.